Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I need your help. Welcome to the nighttime. I can only apologise for the shitty lighting. It isn't even the nighttime, the sun just sets at fucking 4 o'clock now. And your girl's got a full-time job, like, when do I film? We film under the cover of darkness. And what do the dark winter months mean? They mean people buying me stuff. So basically, right, I need your help because my birthday is rapidly approaching. It is the 3rd of December, if you want to note that down somewhere. I'm going to be at the grand age of 26, still my mid-20s. I maintain it is the mid-20s. And just around the corner from my birthday, it's Christmas. Basically, the only things I want in the world is gym stuff and books. And people find it notoriously difficult to buy me books because I own so many. People are always scared that maybe it's something that I've already read, I already own, something that I'm just gonna hate. By people, I mean like family and non-bookish friends. So the easiest thing to do is to just send them my Amazon wish list. Now here come all of the disclaimers. I don't buy books from Amazon for myself. Sometimes I will buy gifts for other people from their Amazon wish lists, but I don't buy anything for myself that is books from Amazon. I buy other things from Amazon sometimes. And whenever I'm sending my wish list to like a family member or something, when they've asked for it, I don't just, I don't send out like a group email. When they've asked for it, I will always say, hey, if you want to get me something secondhand, please do. I love getting secondhand books. Or if you want to buy it from an actual bookshop, please do. This is just the easiest place for the wish list to exist. Of course, sometimes people buy it directly from the wish list. It's really handy because, they can send it directly to me. I mean, you guys know how wish lists work. I don't need to over-explain this. But in preparation for my birthday, we're probably too late for my birthday at this stage, but in preparation for definitely Christmas, I need your help to trash my wish list because I think there's a lot of stuff on there that maybe I don't actually want to read. And that is where you come in, my friend. I want you to rip this wish list to shreds. There's going to be some stuff on there that I know I definitely still want to read. There's going to be some children's books on there. There's going to be some poetry. There is going to be lots of non-fiction based around like gender and sexuality. There's going to be some stuff that has been on there quite a while and I've probably forgotten what it is. I hope I have figured out how to record my screen, in which case, let's dive in. So I have two wish lists, one that is for books, which is the main one that I use, and then one for treats, which is basically like snacks and lip gloss, which, that's everything I need in life. But the first book that I have on the list is Growing Up Sex in the 60s. I told you there would be lots of books about this kind of topic. That is quite an expensive book to start off on. I then have Lullaby, which is book that I feel like I'm the only person who hasn't read, but I'm actually not sure that I really want to read it. So I'm already going to take this off. Pages & Co. by Anna James, the next two books that I need to get in the series. I specifically really want the hardbacks of these because I have the hardbacks of the first two and I think they will look beautiful on my shelves. Weird Fox was a book that I saw randomly in foils one day and I knew that I needed to keep it on my radar just based on that title alone. Empress and Anaya, I definitely want to read. I loved Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams, so really excited to read something else from her. Angela Carter's Book of Fairy Tales is just a beautiful work of art. Like, it's such a beautiful book, so I definitely want to get a copy of this one day. The Uncomfortable Truth About Racism by John Barnes. If you've been around this channel a little while, you may know that I really love football. John Barnes is a former footballer, but he has also spoken really openly about his experiences of racism, so I'd be really intrigued to read his book. Death by Shakespeare. I don't actually remember who recommended this book to me, but that is a really intriguing title. Female Husbands, A Trans History, which was one that I also saw in a bookshop and wanted to keep on my radar. Sex Tech Revolution, The Future of Sexual Wellness, that sounds really interesting to me. A book all about LGBTQI plus like linguistics and colloquialisms. Unwell Women is another beautiful book that so many people have recommended to me. Stunning cover on this one. We Need to Talk About Money is a book that I want for quite practical reasons. I want to kind of take charge of my finances. I don't have a huge amount of like financial literacy when it comes to my own money. So that's something I would really like to learn more about. Ace of Spades is a YA book that I've heard nothing but good things about. The Covent Garden Ladies, I should probably read the 5 before I get a copy of this book, but there we go. Revolting Prostitutes is a book all about sex workers' rights. The Sea by Iris Murdoch. This might be one that I should take off. Kieran recommended this book and he said it was like old people X on the beach, which really sold this book to me, but I don't know how accurate that description is going to be. I'm sorry, Kieran. Quen, I don't actually remember anything about this book, but it's got a great cover. I've got a couple of LGBTQ plus picture books here. One Life, which is Megan Rapinoe's memoir, another footballer. Pain and Prejudice, a book about women's experiences of pain. Buzz, which is a book all about the history of sex toys. Really excited to read this book, totally up my street. Mary Barton is the first Penguin English Library book on this list. You may be aware that I collect the Penguin English Library books, and the Amazon wishlist is actually a great way of keeping track of maybe some places that are selling these books secondhand, so I do use that for that. So there's going to be a few more Penguin English Library books on this list as well. Little You is a poetry book, I believe. I don't remember too much more about it other than that though. Phantom Tollbooth is one of those kind of classic works of children's literature that I never read as a child. Another children's picture book here, The Bear and the Piano. Sitting Pretty, a book about disability. Girls Play Too, which is a book all about Irish sportswomen. Break the Mold by Sinead Burke. Sinead Burke is really well known in the Irish media, but also in the fashion world. She's a little person and she talks a lot about that. She used to be a teacher. I think she's just a really interesting, fantastic person. Another Irish writer in Lisa McInerney. This is the third book in her kind of loose trilogy that started with the Glorious Heresies. So I'd be really excited to read the third book in this. I loved the first two. The Coven I don't know too much about, but I really like books about witches. And I think this one is a kind of a slightly literary book about witches, which is something I would be intrigued by. Here is another non-fiction book, How to Heal a Broken Heart. Well, there we go. More Irish writers in Megan Nolan, Acts of Desperation. This is a book that I heard a lot of great things about. What Love Looks Like. I don't actually remember anything about this, but I think it might be gay. Is it gay? I don't really remember. The Tainted was a book that went onto my radar during the Irish Readathon, which happens every year in March. Republic of Shame, same thing, but this is a non-fiction book. The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. I love Beth O'Leary. I'm not sure if this is out in paperback now though. It might be a bit too soon for it to be out in paperback actually. The Intimacy Experiment is a smutty book. I read Rosie Dunan's previous book, The Roommate, and I absolutely loved it, so I would be really intrigued to read The Intimacy Experiment as well. Insatiable I think is also quite a smutty book. When Katie Met Cassidy, don't really remember anything about this one. In At the Deep End, don't really remember anything about that. So with the books that I don't really know anything about, can you please help me? Are they going to be books that I love, or should I just get rid of them? From Here to Eternity, I think I saw this on Sylvie's channel, and I find death fascinating. I don't think there's anything quite like having death close personally in your life to entirely change your perspective on it. And that's definitely the experience that I've had with it. A couple more children's picture books. Julian at the Wedding. I loved Julian is a Mermaid, so I would be really excited to read the second one. I'm not sure if this is out in paperback as well. Curious History of Sex was one that was recommended to me by Charlotte, and it's a book that is right up my street and it is super chunky as well. Sex and Lies by Layla Slimani. I've already taken one Layla Slimani book off this list. Should I take this one off too? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Just Friends by Holly McCulloch. I don't remember who recommended this one to me, but it's on my wish list. Where Rainbows End by Cecilia Ahern. I have never read a Cecilia Ahern book, despite her being a really well-known Irish author. But this is the book that Love, Rosie, the film, is based on, and I absolutely love that film. It is one of my favorite rom-coms ever, but I have never read the book. Should I read the book? Even more Irish writers. Kat Doyle, the first book in her Stormkeeper trilogy. The Trick to Time by Kit Dewall, a couple of Irish anthologies as well, and then just a lot of Marion Keyes books. I really specifically want these editions of Marion Keyes' books. Gradually want to like collect her entire backlist in those editions. Margaret Atwood's collection of poetry. I've never read any poetry from her before, but I've read a few of her novels. A Room Called Earth. I don't really remember anything about this book or what it is. How Is It For You? Again, another book about like women and sex. My Dark Vanessa, which, you know, I think everyone read earlier this year or last year. The first book in the Strange Worlds Travel Agency, which is a middle grade series that I've had on my radar for a little while and want to read. Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, who is of course the author of The Hate You Give. I would be really intrigued to read some more from her. I have only read The Hate You Give, and also some shorter works by her that have been included in like collections and anthologies. The Falling in Love montage. I have another book by Kira Smith already on my shelf, so I should probably read that one before I get to this one. Only Mostly Devastated, which I think is like a gay YA retelling of Grease, potentially. The Flip Side, I don't really remember what this one is. I think it's a rom-com. The Christmasaurus and the Winter Witch, one of Tom Fletcher's books for younger readers. All the Bad Apples and The Deepest Breath, two more books by Irish writers. Meg Brehan I absolutely love. A couple more books on sex. So we have Girls and Sex and Boys and Sex. I think it would be really interesting to read those books side by side. Gender Swapped Fairy Tales, which is a beautiful book that was written in quite an experimental way, I think. And I'd be intrigued to see how that has actually worked. Another Penguin English Library books there in Peter Pan. Last One at the Party. I don't remember what this book's about at all. So if you know, please tell me. Parable of the Sower. I read Kindred by Octavia E. Butler last year and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I really want to read some more books by her. The Subtweet, I don't remember too much about this, but I remember hearing like people talking about it a few months ago. Are Women on the Ground, which is another non-fiction book. Royal Holiday, which is a Christmas romance. I have read one Jasmine Guillory book before, The Proposal, and I quite liked it. It wasn't my favourite rom-com that I've read, but I would definitely read more from her. And A Happy New Year by Holly Bourne. I have read a bunch of Holly Bourne books. I really love the Spinster Club trilogy, and I think this is a quite a slim addition to that series. And of course it would be great to read this one around New Year. Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I read the first book in this series, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, a couple of months ago. Really enjoyed it. Piglets is a book that I haven't really heard anyone else talk about, but I was really drawn in by this cover. And I can't really tell you more about it other than that. Ada is a book about Ada Lovelace. I think it's a really cool cover, but I can't really tell you anything more about the book. Lots more Penguin English Library books here. I am gradually getting there with my collection. I definitely don't have as many to collect as I once did. I got quite a few over the course of this year. But there are still a few more to go in my collection, as you can see here. Diary of a Drag Queen, another non-fiction book. Tiny Imperfections, do not remember what this book is whatsoever. That Reminds Me is quite a short book, I think, but one that I've heard really good things about. Antidote for Everything, don't remember what this book is, but that cover looks fantastic. Likewise, Keeper, don't really know anything about this, but that cover drew me in. Witches, Sluts and Feminist, you know, of course this book was going to be on my wish list. And then Roaring Girls, which is another book about, I guess, women from history. Staunch, I don't know what this is. I'm tempted to take this one off now because I don't like that cover, and for fans of the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, that doesn't draw me in. But if you think I should keep it on there, let me know. No, you're only here to trash it, so I only want to hear bad things. This Time Will Be Different, again, a book I couldn't tell you anything about other than I think this cover is cool. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, I definitely want to read. I definitely want to read more Toni Morrison, and I want to get her books in these editions, like these cover designs. Women, Race and Class by Angela Davis is definitely a book that I want to read one day. I'm a huge fan of Galdem, so I definitely want to read I Will Not Be Erased. I definitely want to read I'm Not Your Baby Mother, though I think this one is out in paperback now. We Ride Upon Sticks. Don't remember what this book is. I think we might be reaching a point in the wish list where I really don't remember a lot of these books. Like Mostly Dead Things, nope, not a clue. This Elif Shafak book, I've heard good things about, but I couldn't really tell you what I've heard. And I Do Not Forgive You, I don't remember what this is. It's Not All Downhill From Here, don't remember. The Resistors, I don't remember. The Regrets, I think these were all added based on me liking the covers. In the Dream House, I tried to read Carmen Maria Machado's first book, her collection of short stories, and I didn't get on with it. But this is a non-fiction book, so it might be different, I don't know. A Woman Is No Man, again, probably something I added based on the cover, although that is an intriguing title as well. Unfollow, I think, is a book about cults, but I'm not sure. Fabulosa, I definitely want to read. This is another book that is all about LGBTQ plus linguistics. A couple of books here from Bernadine Evaristo. I really liked Girl, Woman, Other, but I actually think I would like her backlist more, so I've got a couple of her backlist books here. I Feel Bad About My Neck by Nora Ephron, I feel like is a book that is just recommended to me over and over again. Intimacies by Lucy Caldwell, I have read a short story collection from her before and loved it, so would really like to read more of her stories. New Erotica for Feminists, I think is a really little book, but you know, of course this was going to be on my wish list. Lots of poetry collections here as well. I won't spend too much time on them, but these are all poetry collections that have been on my radar for quite some time now. I would be really excited to read all of these, particularly Danez Smith. I think it's like long overdue for me reading their poetry. Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies is a beautiful book, and I think something that I would really benefit from reading, potentially. Jack of Hearts is a YA book, a gay YA book that has been on my radar for quite a while. Hannah Witton's The Hormone Diaries book I would be really intrigued to read. Give Birth Like a Feminist, even though I don't know if I ever will give birth. I have no plans to give birth in the near future, or potentially even the long-term future, who knows. But I think it's something I'd be intrigued to read nonetheless. How the Pill Changes Everything, books about the pill, hormones, sex, sexuality. As you can see with The Wonder Down Under, the next book on the list, these are all topics that really interest me. Forced Out, which I think is a book about a police officer who experienced prejudice in their job. Womanish, a grown black woman speaks on love and life. I don't really remember where I got that book recommendation from, but this is definitely something that I would want to read. Mind the Gap, another book about like sex and sexuality. How to Do Nothing is another beautiful book that I think potentially I would benefit from reading. How We Get Free Black Feminism. I don't remember where I got this recommendation from, but again, one I would be really intrigued to read. Lowborn by Kerry Hudson is about her experiences of growing up without much money and returning to the places that she's lived over the years. Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, which I think is a book about therapy. Climate Justice by Mary Robinson, who is of course the former president of Ireland, who has now gone on to do a lot of work around the climate and the planet. The Vagina is one of the books I am most excited to read because it is all about the vagina in like literary and cultural history, which is something that I think I would find so intriguing, you know, as someone who's interested in topics of sex and sexuality, but also literature. Wedding Toasts I'll Never Give is a book that I think I've heard Lena talk about and added to my wish list based on that. The Gendered Brain, again, more books about gender. Unmentionable, I love the cover of this book, and it's a book all about like sex in the Victorian era. Not All Dead White Men, which is a book about misogyny in the digital age. Everybody Lies. I think this is another book that I got on Lena's recommendation. Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism is obviously a book that's going to be up my street. The Sisterhood, a love letter to women who have shaped us. I am intrigued to read this book, but I don't have any sisters, so I don't know how much I would actually get out of this book, but we'll see. Maybe I will take this off my wish list. I'm not sure. The Friendship Cure and The Defining Decade are another two books that I think I got from the same video from Lena. I don't have that many years left in my 20s, so I should probably get round to reading The Defining Decade. Curious History of Dating. As someone who does a lot of dating, might find this valuable. Hood Feminism, another non-fiction book that I want to read, as are the next few. This Will Be My Undoing and All the Single Ladies. Wild Irish Women, Playing the Whore, which is another book about sex work. Entanglement, which is a book all about hair. Come As You Are, another book about sex, as in sensation. Mother Folklore is a book about the Irish language that I would be really excited to read. Foxes Unearthed is another non-fiction book, but I don't really I mean, I guess it's about foxes, but I don't really know. The Ministry of Nostalgia, I think, is a recommendation that I got from Jean. I don't really remember too much about this one. They Can't Kill Us All, which is like a BLM book. The Boyfriend Project, which is a rom-com. Don't remember too much more about this one other than that. I Never Said I Loved You. Don't remember anything about this book. The Million Pieces of Nina Hill is a YA book that I think has a lot of themes around mental health. Star-Crossed, don't remember what this book's about. The Hating Game is that rom-com book that is set in the publishing industry. So I don't know if I would love that or hate it. Conjure Women is a beautiful cover, but I think it might be fantasy. And I'm not really a huge fantasy reader. Trust Exercise was one that I heard really mixed reviews about, so I'm not sure on this one. Let me know what you think, as with all of the books that I'm talking about at the minute. Most Likely by Sarah Watson. Do not remember anything about this. Saving Savannah. Don't remember anything about this. Hold. Don't remember anything about this. But they all have beautiful covers. So, The Lonely Fajita. I don't remember too much about this one either, but that is a great title. In 5 Years, potentially is another rom-com. Diary of a Confused Feminist is a YA book, which, that title, of course I was going to want to read it. Anna K, which I think is a YA retelling of Anna Karenina. The Weight of Love, I don't really remember anything about that, or On Midnight Beach, or The Island Child, but they are all books by Irish writers that have beautiful covers, so I was in. Who Put This Song On? Don't remember anything about this book. The Two Lives of Lydia Bird. I have read another book by Josie Silver and I really enjoyed it, but I heard quite mixed things about this book, so let me know what you thought of it if you've read it. The Battle for Perfect, I definitely want to read. This is the third book in the Perfect trilogy, of which I've read the first two books, but it's been quite a while since I've read those and I'm long overdue reading this third book. The Beauty of the Wolf, I don't really remember anything about. I think this might be fantasy as well, so I'm not sure if this one is really for me. I have the Penguin Modern Classics edition of How Steeple's Cinderby Wanderers Won the FA Cup. Pretty niche book, I think, but there we go. Hood by Emma Donoghue. I'm not sure if there's a better edition of this that I should have on my wish list, but I love Emma Donoghue. Ivy and Abe. Do not remember anything about this book. Eggshells. Don't remember anything about it. Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I really wanted to read because I heard the OCD rap in it was really fantastic. Valley of the Dolls. Don't know anything about this book really. A couple of books by Jen Campbell that I would definitely like to read, and some of these beautiful books that are illustrated by and written by Coralie Bickford Smith, who I'm a huge fan of. Evening Primrose, I don't remember anything about this book whatsoever. And then I have a few Mary McFarland books. I've read a couple of Mary McFarland, and I like her books like well enough, but I would like to read more from her backlist. Recipes for Sad Women, don't remember what that is, but that is a great title. A couple of middle grade books here that have been on my radar for a while. The Last Dog on Earth, that sounds a bit sad. Maybe I should take this one off. Big Bones by Laura Dockrell. I've heard fantastic things about this book from Lauren and the Books. Somehow I have never read any Padraig Kenny, and I would be really intrigued too. He writes middle grade books. I've also never read anything by Sarah Rees Brennan somehow, so I would definitely want to read one of those. The Maker of the Swans, I don't remember what that is. Is this maybe like a Children of Lear book? I'm not sure. The House of Impossible Beauties, could not tell you what that is about, do not remember. My Year of Rest and Relaxation was one of those books that I think a lot of people read a couple of years ago and I just never got around to reading. You Too Can Have a Body Like Mine is a book that I hear spoken about a lot, but I'm not really sure what it is. Obviously someone explained what it was to me at some point and I thought it was good enough to put on my wish list, but who knows. Full Disclosure is a YA book that I think is about HIV, so would be really excited to read that. The Gravity of Us, I think, is an LGBTQ plus YA book, as are both of Alice Oseman's books that I've got here, I think. I've only read one Alice Oseman book and I would be really excited to delve into her backlist, but I've just got a couple of them here. I think I've got the Heartstopper series further down in my wish list. With the Fire on High, I've actually already read, but I would love to own a physical copy of it, and I'm obsessed with this cover. I think it's stunning. Girls on the Verge, don't know anything about this book. We All Begin as Strangers, don't remember anything about this. 2 books in the Fairyland series. I have read the first 3 books in this series and I thought they were so much fun, but it has been such a long time since I've read them. I don't know if I would have to reread them before getting the 4th and the 5th book. I'm not sure. Moxie, I don't know if I actually want to read. Maybe I could just watch the film. The Love and Lies of Roxana Ali. Don't really remember anything about this. Don't really remember anything about these Renee Watson books. These Joan Lingard books, I don't really remember anything about these. Strange Heart Beating. I really like books that have swans on the covers. And I don't know why, but I really do. The Heart is a book that is translated from French that I think I added to my wish list on Jen Campbell's recommendation. Woman on the Edge of Time. I don't read a huge amount of sci-fi, but I think I'm quite intrigued by feminist sci-fi, like classic feminist sci-fi. So this is one that I added to my wish list. Like a Mule, Bring Ice Cream to the Sun. I don't remember who recommended this to me, but I remember it was someone that I really trusted their recommendations, but I couldn't tell you who that was. Of course, on this list we have a book called Cunt. Yeah. Sex and the Citadel, which is a fantastic title for a book. Inferior, which is a book I think about women and science. A Mind of Its Own. I have read one Cordelia Fine book before and I have another one on my TBR behind me. So I would like to read that before getting to this one. Wendy Cope is a poet that I absolutely love and I'm shocked I have not read Anecdotal Evidence yet. Why God is a Woman is another poetry collection that has been really highly recommended to me. Bonk, another sex book. The Voting Booth, which I think is a rom-com that is set in a voting booth. It makes perfect sense why I would add this to my wish list. Mexican Gothic, I'm not sure why I added this to my wish list because I don't think this is really one that is up my street, but you might disagree. All Adults Here, do not remember anything about this book whatsoever. Lots of Juno Dawson books. I've read a couple of Juno Dawson books, but again, would really be excited to dive into her backlist and read more from her. So Lucky by Donna Porter. I've read a few Donna Porter books and really, really enjoyed them, but I don't really know anything like what her latest book is about, but I would feel pretty confident that I would like it. Sex and Rage, more books about sex.
Adult by Emma Jane Unsworth, I think is something that would be really up my street. Silver Sparrow by Tiari Jones, loved An American Marriage, so I think I would like this one. The Farm by Joanne Ramos is another one that I'm a bit on the fence with. I don't know if I would actually like this one. The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead I've read. The Underground Railroad, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. The Worst Best Man is another rom-com book. A Song Below Water, don't really remember anything about this. Cinderella is Dead, I definitely want to read. And You Should See Me in a Crown, I definitely want to read. I've mentioned Elizabeth Acevedo before, so I have read Clap When You Land and With the Fire on High, but I've never read The Poet X or The Poet Z. I've heard people pronounce it both ways. Dead Famous by Greg Jenner is a book about the idea of celebrity throughout history, and I love Greg Jenner's podcast. Red, White and Royal Blue, I have somehow not read yet. I feel like everyone else has. Half a World Away by Mike Gale. I couldn't tell you what this book is about. Not at all. Let me know if you've read this one and what you thought of it. Boy Parts by Eliza Clark is definitely one that I want to read. And then finally, we have 3 of the 4 books in the Heartstopper series. And then we are at the end of my wish list. I have spoken for such a long time. I feel like my voice is about to go. But now it is over to you in the comment section. Please trash my wish list. Please tell me which books I need to remove from this, because I'm not going to like them. They're just going to sit on my TBR for like 5 years and I'll never get around to reading them. I want my wish list to be the creme de la creme, the best books that I definitely want to read. I am giving you full permission. I'm not going to give you this permission on many other occasions because I am against book bashing, okay? I don't like saying mean things about books, but here is your chance. Full permission, do your worst. Trash these books. That's it from me. I hope you enjoy yourself in the comment section, and I hope you have a lovely week. I will talk to you in my next video.